All right, picture this. It's 1889. We're in some small town in Austria-Hungary, and a baby has just been born.
I mean, just look at this baby. Adorable, right? Sweet, innocent, a real little cherub.
You look at a kid like that and you think, okay, he's gonna grow up to be, I don't know, a respectable accountant, maybe a super polite librarian.
Yeah, you would be so wrong. Like historically, epically, oh my god, wrong.
Because that sweet little baby, that's Adolf Hitler. Yep. And to figure out how we get from that little guy to, well, Hitler, we gotta start with his family. And trust me, they were something else.
All right, let's meet Dad. His name was Alois. He was a customs official, kind of mid-level, with let's just say, a complicated past. And his love life? Oh man, even more complicated.
Okay, you're gonna wanna buckle up for this, because it gets wild. So step 1, Alois marries some rich, older lady. Step 2, he immediately starts sleeping with the young maid. Classic. Then, when wife number 1 gets sick, he basically just waits. Yep, she dies, and boom, he marries the maid. But wait, it gets better. When she gets sick, who does he hire to take care of her? His super young cousin, Clara. And when wife number 2 kicks the bucket, come on, you know where this is going, he gets his own cousin pregnant and marries her. And that cousin, Clara, well, that's Hitler's mom.
So yeah, just so we're all on the same page here, he married his cousin, who used to be his maid. I mean, what a guy. Seriously, wow.
So Alois and Clara, they actually had 3 kids before Adolf. But, and this is really sad, all 3 of them died as babies. So you can imagine, this made his mom, Clara, super overprotective of little Adolf. Dad, on the other hand, he was a strict guy with a real short fuse. And get this, after Adolf's older half-brother just couldn't take it anymore and ran away, guess who all that anger got pointed at? Yep, our guy.
So with a home life that lovely, are you really surprised that things went off the rails? I mean, he started off as a decent student, sure, but that did not last. He pretty quickly found his true calling, being an absolute teenage nightmare. Oh yeah, his rebel resume was pretty solid. We're talking getting caught smoking, leading raids on the local apple orchards, and his favorite hobby? Annoying the heck out of his pro-Austrian teachers by being super into German nationalism. You know, normal kid stuff.
And all this stuff, it drove his dad completely bananas, which of course meant some seriously harsh punishments were coming Adolf's way.
But the number one thing they fought about? His future. Dad was like, you're gonna be a boring but respectable civil servant just like me. And Adolf was like, no way, I'm an artist, a creative genius. And this, you guessed it, made his father lose his mind. But honestly, by this point, old Alois was just tired. He kind of gave up. And then he just, well, died from a lung hemorrhage. So, problem solved, I guess?
So, Dad's out of the picture, and Adolf is finally free. He manages to pass his last semester, and to celebrate, in a move that is just pure class, he gets completely wasted and uses his diploma as toilet paper. No, I'm not making that up. That's a real thing that happened. And then, surprise, surprise, he dropped out of school.
Okay, so now he's 16. No job, no school, no plan. For the next 3 years, he literally does nothing. Just hangs out, goes to the opera a lot with his one and only friend. That's it. Finally, at 18, he gets it together, he moves to Vienna, he's gonna take the big entrance exam for the Academy of Fine Arts, and he fails. Ouch. Okay, so a year later, he tries again, and he fails again. At this point, his money's running out, he's got no prospects, his life is just in a total freefall. And right as his whole world is falling apart, he gets hit with something even worse. His mom, the only person he was ever really close to, dies from breast cancer. The family doctor even said he'd never seen anyone so totally wrecked by grief. So with his mom gone, he goes back to Vienna, but the dream is dead. He hits absolute rock bottom. We're talking homeless shelters, just trying to make a few bucks selling postcards that he painted. And it's down here at his lowest point that he finds something new to latch onto. Someone to blame for all his problems. See, Vienna at the time was just swimming in radical politics, and he was like a sponge. He started reading all these cheap, hateful pamphlets, all these crazy conspiracy theories, and he bought into it, all of it. This idea that history is just one big race war,
that the German Aryan race is the best, and that Jewish people were the root of every single problem in the world, especially his problem.
He also started to really hate the whole multi-ethnic Austro-Hungarian Empire. Hated it so much, in fact, that when he turned 24 and it was time for him to join the army, he bailed. He literally dodged the draft and ran off to Germany. Just remember that. The guy was a draft dodger.
So he spends another year just kind of drifting around Germany. But then, the year becomes 1914, and Europe is basically a giant powder keg just looking for a match.
So, you're Hitler. You're broke, you've got no friends, and your head is filled with this toxic stew of hate and conspiracy theories. What do you even do?
War. World War I explodes onto the scene, and that same guy who dodged the draft just a year before, he runs to volunteer for the German army. And, for the first time, maybe ever, he found what he was looking for. He had a purpose. He had friends, a brotherhood. He finally belonged somewhere. And even with all the horror, he actually called it the best time of his life.
And, he was a brave soldier, even won the Iron Cross. But then in 1918, he gets caught in a gas attack and is temporarily blinded. And while he's in the hospital, trying to get his sight back, he hears the news, Germany surrendered. The war's over, they lost. And he was just enraged. He would not accept.
He got totally obsessed with this idea that Germany wasn't really beaten in battle. No, they were stabbed in the back by traitors back home. The politicians, the communists, and of course, the Jews. So let's recap. You've got a failed artist with a huge victim complex, a guy who's been blaming everyone else for his problems his whole life, and now he's found a giant conspiracy and a perfect target for all that rage. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?